Hi everybody, this is Francisco Gil-White for Arutz and Management of Reality in our joint programming. Today I have the pleasure and the honor of welcoming Nadia Matar to my show. Nadia, I'm a big fan. Thank you for joining us.
I'm a fan too.
Good.
Thank you for all you do.
Well, this will be the Mutual Admiration Society.
Okay.
Okay, so right off the bat, you're leading the sovereignty movement. You've done this for a number of years now. Tell us what it is. What are you looking for?
First of all, I represent also Judith Katzaver, my co-chair, who I feel I am her student. I met her in 2005 in Gush Katif when an insane decision was taken by the government of Israel to uproot their own brothers and sisters from the Gaza Strip and northern Samaria with the very naive hope that this will bring so-called peace. And as we already said then and even before, since the Oslo agreements were signed, really, you can't make peace with those who want to destroy you. And it's so simple sometimes.
You would think that was an obvious idea, right? You would think that you wouldn't need to have to explain it, really.
Or spend more than 30 years of my life fighting the Oslo agreements, and that's what I've been doing at the beginning with the demonstrations against Oslo. And then when I had the privilege of meeting Judith Katzaver, she basically became the leader together with me. At one point, when we came back from Gush Katif and we started seeing something new in Judea and Samaria, especially in Judea where we live, Judith Katzaver is one of the founders together with this whole generation of people who understood after 67 that they need to resettle Judea and Samaria. And she went to Hebron with her husband, and it's the whole story of the resettlement of Hebron. She's part of that. She's one of the heroic figures of the return to the Bet Hadassah. If anybody of the listeners know a Hollywood Hollywood producer wants to make a story about those 13 women who changed the history of the Jewish people by going into that one building, that Jewish home called Bet Hadassah, for a full year and returning Jewish life to Hebron thanks to those women led by the Rabbi Levinger. It's an amazing thing. So when we started seeing what was going on in Judea and Samaria after the uprooting of Gush Katif and northern Samaria, something new. We started seeing how Arabs started taking over Area C. Now, I assume your listeners already know what A, B, and C is, but I'll quickly remind people.
No, I think it's fantastic if you explain it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, to make a long story short, the State of Israel was founded in 1948. It was a miniature state without Judea, Samaria, what they call in CNN the West Bank, without half of Jerusalem, without the Golan Heights, without the Gaza Strip, etc. Very small. And then in 67, when Israel was 19 years old, the entire Arab countries who did not accept the very existence of the State of Israel up until today, saw and hoped that they could destroy us, and they attacked. And with God's help, I don't have any other explanation, our army was able to push them back and to return, or you will call it liberate or conquer. I have no problem with the word conquer.
I think liberate is more
conquer. Somebody takes what's mine, I'll reconquer it.
Oh, I see. Reconquer it. Reconquer is fine.
To return, the Jewish people return to Judea, Samaria, Gaza, of course, Jerusalem, Sinai, Golan Heights. And then a big mistake happened. It was an incredible military victory. But what at the time was forgotten by the government of Israel is that every military victory must be sealed by a diplomatic victory or a sealing of it. What should have been done at the time, when we returned to all those areas, the government of Israel should have said, we were attacked according to international law, we had all the right to defend ourselves, and we had all the right to return to all those areas, also because of international law, San Remo, all the reasons that we know. And therefore, we declare that from now on, at the end of the Six-Day War, all the areas that we return to will be included under Israeli law, i.e. under Israeli sovereignty. And from now on, there will be no difference between Petach Tikva, Rehovot, Beersheva, and the areas that we return to. Did they do that? No. They were so shocked by the victory. They didn't plan this victory. They didn't know we were going to win. You know that not many people know that on the eve of the war, of the Six-Day War, how did Israel get ready for the upcoming war? They knew there was an upcoming war. They dug 20,000 graves in the fields of Gush Dan, preparing themselves for the massacre and the end of Israel. That was the frame of mind. We're finished. That was the 20,000 graves. You know, I gave a lot of lectures together with Judith to many youngsters in their 18 years old before the army. And one guy told me once, my grandfather told me about this. They were digging. Imagine what the mood was. we're finished. And then this miracle happens. The
Okay,
army.
I want to stop you for a second because the principle you defended is very important, and I want to make it very clear to people. The way I explain the principle you defended is that I always put it in first-person terms. So I say to people, imagine that somebody pulls a gun in your face. They pull a gun in your face, and you are quick enough to grab the gun from this person before they can shoot, right? If that person then says, give me back my gun, that's my property, you won't accept that as a valid argument, right? Because this person threatened your life with that gun. You were fast enough to take it. Now it's your gun. They can't say, hey, return my property. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, but you assume with your example, which I don't exactly agree with your example, you assume that the gun was his to begin with. I'm giving another example.
Yes.
Assume you lived in a house and foreign forces expelled you from your house.
No, but you see,
and then they came in.
No, Nadia, my case is better because
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because even if it was his gun, if he was going to kill you with it, even if it was his gun to begin with, now it's your gun.
Okay, but
You
to
see?
begin with,
But
it was
yeah.
never his gun, it was
No.
never his land,
Right.
and it was never a thing. So,
Yeah.
so I understand where you're coming from, but I think I have a stronger case by saying it was never his. And he is, you know, the word Palestinians, I want to talk about that in a minute,
Yeah.
it comes from Plishtim in Hebrew. Plishtim come from Polshim, the invaders. They were never here. But we'll talk about that in a minute if you
Yeah,
allow
yeah,
me.
sure.
You asked me to talk also about a
wait,
little bit
wait,
about sovereignty.
You need to explain to us area A, area
Okay,
B.
I'm getting to there. So then we won the war in '67, but we did not apply sovereignty. The army, the government decided to, they don't know what to do. Let's put the army in charge. Let's have military control of the area, and we will think about what we should do with those areas that we just returned to. Luckily, the heroes sprung up. Rabbi Levinger, Rabbi Hanan Porat, and a group of people said to themselves, what's going on here? The government doesn't know what to do. This is our land.
We have to go
Don't
live
they
there.
know that we have to return and resettle it? We were kicked out of here. Now we're finally back in our God-given biblical heartland. We have to resettle it. And then starts the whole amazing story, which we don't have time now in those few minutes, of the return of the Jewish people to Hebron, to Gush Etzion, and thanks to a group of people who call themselves in Hebrew, Ha-mitnachalim, which in Hebrew is beautiful. It comes from the root nachala, which means inheritance. Of course, it was badly translated on purpose in English, the settlers, because when you say settlers, you have a feeling as if you took somebody else's land.
Right.
The real translation of what we are is Ha-mitnachalim, the inheritors of the land. This is our land. And then they created they convinced the governments of Israel to create Jewish communities. It's not that Rabbi Levinger created Kiryat Arba, but he convinced the government at the time of a left-wing government in 1971, Jews will not be in the heart of Hebron, where Hebron and Jerusalem, that's that is why we're here, not because of Tel Aviv, when for 2,000 years...
Our birthplace.
Our birthplace, our forefathers are buried here. When 2,000 years the Jews have said in Auschwitz or during the Spanish Inquisition, next year in Zion, with all due respect, they did not dream of a disco in Elat, okay?
Right.
They dreamt about Hebron, Bethlehem, Shiloh, all our areas, all our God-given lands. And Rabbi Levinger convinced the left-wing government at the time.
I think Judea
Judea
means land of the Jews, right? Isn't that what it means?
We're Jews because of Judea. Anyway, it's sometimes, you think things are so simple and people made it so complicated. And he convinced in 1971 the government, a left-wing government who believed at the time still in settlement, Yigal Allon, even Shimon Peres when he was still a Zionist before Oslo, to create Kiryat Arba next to Hebron. And a few years pass on and we have hundreds of thousands of Jews living here. But there was no sovereignty. There was settlement, but no sovereignty. And I'm getting to A, B, and C. I'm getting to there.
Okay.
At one point, when you don't solve an issue, then people come up with crazy ideas. This is the map. This is what I want to show you. This is the map we're talking about. Can I show you this to your list? Yes.
Sure. You can see it.
What do you see here? You see Israel, right? And what do you see in the middle? Judea, Samaria, and in what color? Gaza. In what color?
In white.
Okay. This is the reason I'm here. This is the reason I represent sovereignty. This is the official national outline plan of Israel. Today, 2026. What is a national outline plan? Every country has a national outline plan. How is my country going to be in another 20, 30, 40 years? How will I develop the area, right? This is the official national outline plan of Israel. You say to yourself, what's going on here? Aren't there hundreds of thousands of Jews living here in Judea and Samaria? But there's no sovereignty. If that means when there is no sovereignty, there is settlement. There's a lot of settlers, a lot of Jewish communities. But when there is no sovereignty, i.e. application of Israeli law, and we are under military rule till today, then what happens is that the government of Israel declares, I have Jews living there, but what is the message they pass on here? I'm not sure it's mine forever. What does that do by the enemy? We still have hope to turn this into a Palestinian state. And what happened in 1993, because no sovereignty was declared, a group of people, Jews, who maybe had good intentions, but as we say, how do you say, the way to hell is paved with good intentions. So I don't know what their intentions were. I know that we can discuss that once in another program. Whether they had good intentions or not, a group of people, Shimon Peres, Yossi Beilin, said, there is a problem here, indeed. And because we need to find a solution, let's divide this into, let's find a partner, and let's divide this into between the Jews and the Arabs. The Jews will be removed to Tel Aviv or to the area, and this will give to the Arabs, that was called the Oslo Agreements, where they decided to shake the hand with the devil, Yasser Arafat, who at the time was obviously and rightfully considered as the Adolf Hitler. There's no difference between Yasser Arafat and Adolf Hitler, just maybe in the amount of Jews that they killed.
In the means at their disposal.
Exactly,
right.
Yeah. And let's believe that he changed and he's willing to accept us. Let's build him an army and let's divide, I'm getting to the answer to your question, and let's divide the area into A, B, and C. A and B will be now from the Palestinians. And let's create a body called the Palestinian Authority. You know, I have Arab and people that I know in Judea and Samaria who are very upset with the Oslo architects. And they tell us, before the terrorist attacks occurred, which we know happened afterwards, with what chutzpah did those Jews, those Oslo architects have to decide that Yasser Arafat is our leader, the leader of the Arabs who live in Israel, and force him upon us, and create a Palestinian Authority and decide that there are leaders from now on. That is even before all the other problems with Oslo.
But this is very true what you just said.
It's
the PLO Fatah was imposed on the Arabs.
Was imposed on the land of Israel Arabs.
By the government of Israel.
By the government of Israel. That is the first crime of the Oslo Agreement.
I completely agree.
Even way before. And then, of course, the next crime.
Because PLO Fatah destroyed the Arabs.
Of course.
So that was a crime against the Arabs.
Of course. And then the next crime was, of course, you spoke about the gun before. What happens if I would give a gun to an Arab and he would start killing people? Wouldn't I go to jail?
Of course.
We had the government of Israel, Oslo architects, the Oslo government gave thousands of guns and weapons to this terrorists.
And money.
And money and land. That's A, B, and C. A and B for the Arabs, 40% of Judea and Samaria, and C for the temporarily for the Jews, where the Jews live, with the hope, of course, they had of one day uprooting the Jews and creating a Palestinian state. I was in the Knesset not long ago. I said, when will there be an inquiry about, a national inquiry about this crime of a government who gave, and because of that, 2,000 Jews were killed?
I'd like to make an observation, if I may.
Sure.
Just to increase the historical context. In 1974, PLO Fatah elaborated what is called their plan of phases, or their phased plan. And the phased plan, it's a document from the Palestinian National Council, or their parliament, right? And that document is a strategy document that says that they will promise peace and enter negotiations to get a piece of territory from which they will later destroy the Jewish state.
Of course.
So that's the Oslo process, right? Before the Oslo process ever existed as a diplomatic initiative, the structure of it had already been produced by PLO Fatah as a strategy document in
1964?
No, 1974.
Okay, but they were created, they were founded in 64.
Yes. No. But this is a document created in 74. And the Israeli government, of course, knew about this document. They, of course, knew this. They talked about it in public a few times. So they knew about it. And they still went ahead with Oslo and still imposed this organization, which is a genocidal organization.
Exactly.
People talk about Hamas. No. Yeah, Hamas is very bad. I agree. But there's PLO.
Hamas and PLO is no different.
No difference.
It's exactly the difference. One is a little more secular than the others. That's all.
They're the exact same.
And they're different in their strategy. They're willing to maybe talk, like the Hudaide thing, and saying, yeah, we're willing to do this and that. But it's exactly the same. And Mahmoud Abbas and Sinwar is exactly the same.
It's the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing. So to make a long story short, the Oslo Agreement was signed. Thousands of Jews were killed, of course. The naivety or other reasons that they did this.
Take the plunge, Nadia. Take the
plunge. By giving a government that gave such a murderer land, etc., put us in this trouble. Luckily, we had the Jews of Judea and Samaria who had Jewish communities, but that's not enough. And when we came back from Gush Katif, from the 2005 disengagement or expulsion of Jews in 2005, I met Judith Katsover, and we started having local battles first in Judea. Arabs were trying to take over. By the way, one of the hills that you came with us, we gave you a tour.
This is years ago.
In Jdeman, years ago in 2008. And there was a hill in between Jerusalem and eastern Gush Etzion. And we fought for that hill, and we succeeded in keeping it.
That was the hill where there had been a
military army
base,
because of Oslo was abandoned. The anarchist, pro-Palestinian Europeans, together with Arabs of Bethlehem, were trying to take over. We managed to make them leave and to reinstall the army there. And recently, thanks to the Smotrich government, we must give him the credit, he turned it into a full-fledged Jewish community. And this, we are now Sunday, this Shabbat, the anarchists have not given up on trying to destroy that area because it's the only Jewish area, Area C, between Jerusalem and eastern Gush Etzion. They're trying to break the Jewish continuity by taking over. And what are we saying, Judith and I? It is, if you want to stop the anarchists from taking over, you want to stop those pushing for a Palestinian state, settlement is not enough. We are so happy with the hundreds of new farm and ranches and outposts and communities. It's great, but it's reversible. God forbid in the coming elections, Yair Golan will be Minister of Defense, God forbid. In 5 minutes, everything will go. What will not reverse it? What will keep us there? The application of Israeli sovereignty over all this and Gaza. Yes, we have to have Jewish life back, to return Jewish life in Gaza. They have to go. People who massacred, who put Jewish babies in ovens and who beheaded and raped and did everything they do, they're not supposed to live here anymore.
Okay.
They have to go.
I have a question.
And I'll finish by saying, what is sovereignty? Is to declare once and for all that Judea, Samaria, and Gaza is an intricable part, is a complete part of Israel, is no different than Tel Aviv and Haifa, etc. And that will be the end of the Six-Day War. That is when the Arabs will understand, wow, Israel has declared that it's theirs forever. Do you know that we have knowledge that some people who are not with us in the American administration have said to the government, build as much as you want, saying, one day we'll uproot it. Just don't do sovereignty. And we are saying that means that that's the answer, the application of sovereignty. It's a declaration by the state of Israel, this is our land forever.
So, you say in Gaza they must leave. What about Judea and Samaria?
Okay, now I'm going to answer you with this. And I will answer, I promise you. We are at war here, a big war. I want to zoom out and get back and get to your answer, okay? When I meet a lot of journalists who are not on our side, I met a Belgian. I'm from Belgium.
Oh.
Originally. I'm not to be so proud of it today, but or ever. But anyway, I spoke to a Belgian journalist and I said to her, listen, I'm not going to convince you. You don't believe in our right to be here. You're so pro-Palestinian. But you know what? You should worry and be against the Palestinian state for your sake in Belgium, not for mine. She said, oh yeah, why? So I show her this flag, which I show everybody. This is a flag. I don't like to show the Palestinian flag, but we have to show what's going on. This is a flag with Arabic written over it. And this was flown by the Palestinian Authority in the early 90s, at the beginning of Oslo, in Bethlehem, over the head of, if I'm not mistaken, Desmond Tutu, a big Christian, not pastor,
church?
From the church, Obviously, he didn't know what was flying over his head, what was written. And what does it say here in Arabic? يوم السبت اقتل اليهود يوم الأحد اقتل النصارى. On Saturdays, we will murder the Jews, and on Sundays, we will murder the Christians. This is the global war that is taking care of. Taking place.
Sounds very friendly, Nadia.
Very friendly. The big war that is taking place, put this here, is a war of Islam against the Judeo-Christian world. But where do they start? They want to take over. I told that Belgian journalist, I said, what do you think they talk about in their mosque in Brussels and Antwerp? Do you think they talk about how they love Belgian Godiva chocolate? How they should eat French fries? Or are they preparing the next October 7th in Antwerp, Brussels, etc.? She was like shocked. She says, you should be on our side against the Palestinian state because it's also going to start, God forbid, with the Palestinian state. It's the first hors d'oeuvre, as we say in French, the first course of the meal. The next course is turning Europe into Eurabia, which they're working at already very well.
It's going fast.
And it's going fast. And the next course is America and Australia, etc. And it's going fast. So anybody who wants the survival of the Western world to stay a Western world and not to have your wives with jihadis and to have your children, God forbid, if somebody steals, have his hands cut off or I don't know what, should be on our side against a Palestinian state because it starts by us. Now to answer your question, what's going to happen with the Arabs?
Yeah.
That is the main question of the sovereignty movement. Everybody asks us, okay, you convince us the Palestinian state is suicide for Israel and it's dangerous for the Western world. What are you going to do with the Arabs? That's number one question. So here I have a confession. I was also naive. I always blamed that the Oslo people were naive, and I was also naive.
Why? What were you proposing before?
Before October 7th, I said, let's do like in Jerusalem. There's 1.8 million Arabs in Judea and Samaria. Let's do like Jerusalem. We can suggest, obviously we cannot give them citizenship, and it's not apartheid to not give them citizenship. There's millions of people who live in sovereign states and they don't have citizenship. But we can maybe give them residency. I guess that most of your listeners know the difference between citizenship and residency. Residency, you get all the rights, but you're not allowed to vote in the parliament, right? In the Knesset.
Right.
There are 300,000 Arabs like that in Jerusalem. After October 7th, things changed. I realized when I saw the first poll, a week or two after the massacre, talking about genocide. That was a genocide against Jews, yes.
Well, it was a genocidal attack.
It was
obviously.
a genocidal attack.
Yeah.
We saw the polls. A poll taken in Ramallah. You Google a poll. How many Arabs in Judea? They call it the West Bank. You have to write West Bank, which of course I usually don't use. Favor the October 7 massacre. 84% of Arabs in Judea and Samaria are in favor of the October 7 massacre. And I looked at myself in the mirror. And I said, I'm going to give. So when I walk around in Gush Etzion, I see 10 Arabs. 8.5 of them, almost 9 of them, are willing to put Jewish babies in an oven, to behead Jews, to do other horrible things that I can't even express with my mouth that they all did. I'm going to give them even residency? Why? I should find the 2% or the 16% who maybe are okay, which I know a few Arabs, and they tell me, Nadia, when are you going to get them out of here? You guys brought them here with Oslo. Liberate us from the Palestinian Authority. So then I said, we have to normalize. And then we didn't dare to talk about it. And then President Trump came. At the very beginning, what did he say? They murdered you? More or less, I'm not quoting word by word, but they basically said, they murdered you, they massacred you, they raped you, they have to go. And he's the one the first one who spoke about the relocation, you want to call it, the emigration of murderers. And then people say, but where will they go to? There's 22 Arab states, there's 59 Muslim states.
I'd like to stop you there.
Yeah.
Because I don't like that discussion. Where will they go is not the problem of Israel.
Well,
no, you don't have to solve it.
You just open the gates.
Yeah. Go wherever you want.
Wherever you want.
But you can't stay here, that's it.
No,
but it's not your problem. You don't owe them that.
Yeah, but I have to tell the world that there is where to go.
No.
There is where to go.
No. I think we have to change the conversation.
Okay, I'm willing to accept that.
The citizens of other countries, normal countries, not like Israel, if somebody had come to massacre them, they wouldn't feel like they owe anything to the population that was trying to exterminate them.
Right. Go.
And it would be humane to kick them out.
Right.
It's much better than what they were trying to do to you.
Absolutely.
Right? So you don't owe them anything. They don't know where to go. Fine, not your problem.
But
Not your
the
problem.
truth is that many of them want to go. So go.
Yeah.
Open the gates.
Yeah.
Let them go. Let the Arabs of Gaza, first of all, go, and Judea and Samaria. They will also have to go.
Yeah.
And so people tell me, but what if they don't want to go? I always answer that. My brothers of Judea and of Gaza, of the Gaza Strip in 2005 didn't want to go. Nobody asked them.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't give me that
Right.
now, please,
Right,
okay?
right.
They're going to have to go because this is our land. I'm going to say something, and no, I'm going to shock you now. You know what? I understand those who came up, the Jews, who came up with the two-state solution. Because what are they saying? They're basically saying Jews and Arabs can't live together. That's why we have to divide, and we have to find two ways of it. So what don't I agree with? Of course, the map that they did.
Right.
But the very idea
Interesting.
of the left that says we need a two-state solution. Why? Because we don't want to live them. We have a leftist friend with, again, I can't quote her name. She's a journalist. When she heard about sovereignty, she said, my parents didn't come from Europe to have them here, the Arabs. I'd rather have a small Israel and let them be there.
Right.
So the idea of the Zionist left, I'm not talking about the left that wants to destroy the Jewish state,
right.
but the Zionist left who came up with a two-state solution, they admit that they're doing so because they're Arabs here and they don't want to see them.
Which is also why they took the Jews out of Gaza. Because what they're confessing when they take the Jews out of Gaza is that if the Jews stay in an Arab-run statelet, they will be murdered.
Exactly. So I want to switch switch it around from the river to the sea, Israeli sovereignty, or you can call it Israel with Judea, Samaria, and Gaza to the Jews, the Arab countries to the Arabs.
Sure.
The time has come to switch it around. Yes, you want a two-state solution? Turn it around, flip it around. The Jews will stay in their God-given homeland, which, by the way, everybody knows, or most people know, that Judea, Samaria, Israel with Judea and Samaria, what CNN calls the West Bank, is smaller than New Jersey. So there's no way we can shrink ourselves, nor will we ever agree to. Israel for the Jews, the Arab states for the Arabs. And we have to start normalizing this and not to be afraid to talk about it.
All right.
And I just want to finish with one thing.
Let's do that, yeah, because we have to go, so you have to talk about the book.
The last thing I want to say is to simplify. I'm a simple Jew. I like to sometimes simplify things. The battle is between those two books.
You're not a simple Jew.
No,
anyway,
it's an honor to be simple Jew. To be a Jew says this is our land, and that's it.
That's it.
But it's based on two books. The wars between two books. The Bible, which obviously we all know it's all about the right of the Jewish people to their biblical homeland. Take away anything that's related to the Bible, to the land of Israel from this Bible, and you get a small pamphlet. This is our Kushan. I tell also non-religious youngsters, you don't have to be, I wish you were, but you don't have to be so observant to believe that the Tanakh is ours. This is our book. And the battle is with another book. It's always a little bit provocative. Maybe you heard about this book. Maybe you did. By Asaf Vol. A little bit of a satire.
I have not read it yet. Yeah.
A history, you haven't read it, you'll see it takes a long time to read it. A history of the Palestinian people from ancient times to the modern era, 100 white pages. It's also translated into Hebrew.
Wow. How about
So you
Spanish?
know why? No,
Can I get it in Spanish?
So you know why I don't laugh anymore? When I ask groups, who does the world believe? The truth or the lie? And of course it's the lie.
Right.
Why? Because the world meets two kinds of Jews. First they meet Arabs who say it's all ours. For everything is ours. Even Tel Aviv, they don't make a difference. The Arabs, there's nobody who says that we have the right to, as a Jewish state, to have the land of Israel. It's all ours. That's what Europeans meet, right?
Right.
And then they meet Jews. For peace, I'm willing to divide Jerusalem. For peace, I uprooted my brothers. For peace, I'm willing to give away Judea and Samaria and create a Palestinian state. A European is going to look at those two groups and going to say, well, who is willing to give up on his own land? Meaning, we brought this whole mess upon us because we didn't apply sovereignty. When you don't apply sovereignty, you stutter and you say, I'm not sure it's mine yet. And you give the enemy hope. The time has come for the application of Israeli sovereignty over Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, and tell the world, the land of Israel, the people of Israel, we are here to stay forever, sovereign. Those who want to accept our sovereignty will be welcomed as residents, but we're talking about a very tiny fringe because the axioma is an overwhelming Jewish majority and a tiny non-Jewish minority who accepts our sovereignty over the land of Israel. And we hope that when we will finally do so, we will give the example to the European world to do the same and to save themselves from the terrible, terrible Islamization that is taking over Europe. And I hope they still have time to do so.
Well, this amen, number one, and number two, it would be a repeat of the same process we have seen throughout Western history, because the Jewish people is always teaching the Goyim how to do it better. And thanks to you guys, we have been doing it better. And this next installment is coming. You're going to give us a supreme demonstration of what real sovereignty means and what the path forward for Western civilization has to be.
Amen. Thank you very much, Francisco, and keep on your amazing work.
Thank you, Nadia.
Okay,
this is Francisco Gil-White for Arutz and Management of Reality. Please remember to subscribe and ding that bell and share, like us. And if you want to go read about our stuff, everything is in the description. Thank you. See you soon.
יש אירועים שפשוט אי אפשר לחוות דרך המסך.
אני עודד ניר. במשך כמעט 20 שנה חייתי ופעלתי באירופה ועקבתי מקרוב אחרי מה שקורה ליהודים במערב. מה שראיתי שם, ובעיקר מאז 7 לאוקטובר, שינה את כל מה שאני חשבתי שאני יודע. ב5 ו6 בנובמבר, בנופש של ערוץ טוב במלון נבל דוד בנתניה, נבחן באמת מה קורה ליהודים באירופה, בקנדה, בארצות הברית ובאוסטרליה, ומה המשמעות של כל זה עבור עתיד הקהילות היהודיות בעולם. לצד ההרצאה שלי מחכים לכם יומיים של תוכן איכותי, הרצאות ברמה גבוהה, אנשים נפלאים ואירוח מפנק, מלון 5 כוכבים, על בסיס פנסיון מלא.
מחיר מיוחד לחברי מועדון היחידה. מספר המקומות מוגבל.